would be an ecumenical matter.
Hello and welcome to Ecumenical Matters, the Father Ted podcast. I'm here, your host James, and I'm with Vince, as we always are. And today we've got a guest star. Would you like to introduce yourself, Colin?
Hello everybody, my name is Colin Hassard. I am a performance poet from Belfast, and I could go on and blow my own trumpet, but I'll
Please do.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, I was a two-time Ulster Poetry Slam champion. I've had work published.
Only Ulster?
Only Ulster? Okay, then two-time All-Ireland finalist.
Nice. I like that.
Ballylaughs Comedy Festival champion, Book Festival, Culture Night champion.
Brilliant, yeah. No, Colin is actually an amazing performance poet, and I've seen him a few times, and I'd highly recommend you go see him yourselves at some point. And the room is quite full today. Do you want to say hello, Katri and Leanne?
Hello. Hi.
So they'll be jumping in anytime they've got something to say, as well as Ash whenever he feels like it.
Hello.
And who are you, Ash? We'll need to come up with some sort of nickname like Tech Ash or something, or
Producer Ash.
Pash, yeah, Pash. How you doing there?
Something else.
So today, just in the last half hour there, we all watched the second episode of Father Ted together, entertaining Father Stone. And I just given away my little quiz question there. I was going to ask Colin if he knew what that was a parody of.
It's something to do with Sloane.
Entertaining Mr. Sloane. It's a play, a 1964 play by Joe Orton.
To be fair, we already knew that because you went out to the toilet and left your laptop open. So we all had a look.
So the quiz would have went down a storm anyway.
Yeah.
It would have went down like a lead balloon. Oh well. So what do you think then, guys? Actually, before we start that, how did you watch Father Ted, Colin? Then when did you first
On the television mainly.
Nice.
No.
You weren't Taranton then back then?
I actually worked it out. I looked it up on the internet. When Father Ted started, I was 12 years old, and by the time the third series had ended, I was 15. So was that kind of key point in life where you're learning about what you like?
Exactly. Yeah. It's the first time you're learning your own influences rather than sort of taking them from which sort of your parents would maybe had or your good friends would have had. You'd be sort of forming your own.
Exactly, and at that age, I was looking for something funny and cheeky and a little bit surreal, which is still my kind of main interest in humour. Mm-hmm. And at that time on TV in the 90s, we had Father Ted, the Fast Show, Shooting Stars, shows which really appealed to me. And I remember going back into school on a Monday morning, and everyone in my class knew the lines from Father Ted, and you'd be talking about your favourite bit, your favourite moment, and you're quoting the lines back to each other. Exactly. And just let us know where you're from then. Vince, we've learned last week, it was Belfast City, and I'm from Omagh. So with yourself, like, give us an idea of what Banbridge was like. I was born in Belfast, but I grew up in Banbridge. So
I didn't know that. You were born in Belfast?
I was born in Belfast.
Did you live here long, did you?
No, I was only in the hospital a few hours, and I was back in Banbridge.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
I don't remember much about it, but I did move to Banbridge. It was great growing up in the country, and my best friends are still from Banbridge. Yeah, and so they would have been just country books like the ones in my school as well, and they would have recognised immediately the parish and the sort of just rural Ireland that you see on the screen, I suppose. Would that be fair? I don't know if they'd appreciate being called country bucks.
Yeah.
Culchies then? What's the PC term?
Definitely culchies. Yeah, we would openly admit to being that. But yeah, it was great, and it was great to find people my own age who had the same interests. And because we only had 4 channels in those days, so you were limited on what you could watch. So you all had the same reference points. Exactly. Yeah, you come in and the same episode of Home and Away, everyone would have seen it. And for one, Home and Away. Hang on. Everyone would have seen that same episode of Home and Away the night before, because you had 4 options. So
did you watch Home and Away?
When I was about 10, yeah.
You're like a 40-year-old woman.
It's a teenage soap opera.
Balls. In his defence,
my mum used to watch it.
What's Alf done now?
I just remember Selena getting taken away to some cult, and
you know way too much about Home and Away.
All right, well, back to Father Ted then.
Just one last point on that. I would describe Vince as a flaming galah.
A flaming galah.
What's a galah?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Vince.
Is what Alf used to call everyone, isn't it?
Nah, Neighbours is where it was at.
So this was entertaining Father Stone. What do you think of it?
Yeah, good. I like it. Father Stone himself reminds me of Teresa's dad.
In what way?
Physically, and the boringness of him.
You do realise this is going out and broadcasted?
Yeah, but he's never going to hear it, so it's alright.
Alright, okay.
Same thing, whenever I sit down with her dad and I speak to him, it's one-word answers, and it's always the same tone of voice.
Well, there are people like that.
Yeah.
And, they are generally having, decent time. They're just being very quiet about it.
Yeah, but I feel like I can relate to Father Dougal and Father Ted's pain
in
this episode because of that.
Some people just sit in silence, and for other people it feels like, God, I have to fill up silence, I have to talk something. And they're just sitting in their own little world, and they're having their time of their lives. They're just happy as Larry the way they are. Like, I think that was the Father Stone character, and as always,
I think we all know people like that. Maybe not to that extreme.
Yeah,
certainly people, even negative people, who just suck the life out of a room or out of a party.
And what do you think, Colin, of the episode?
I pretty much know it word for word because I used to have a VHS cassette of the first 3 episodes of Father Ted. So I actually didn't need to watch it tonight. I knew it. But yeah, we feel Ted's pain. We know people like that.
Well, exactly. I have to say, I just did watch it there with you and hadn't seen it for a right while. It wasn't as good as I remember it. I wasn't laughing as much as I thought it would be.
Why?
I don't know. Well, we were watching it and we were taking notes, so that probably didn't contribute properly, but it was a while before the first laughs started getting in. If you're trying to introduce somebody to Father Ted, it wouldn't be a great episode to introduce them with, because it is about 10 or 12 minutes before the first big laugh jumps in.
Colin said earlier about surreal side of things, like Father Ted usually has some really surreal moments.
Yeah.
This one's sort of lacking them until maybe the last part of the episode.
Until Ted just thrown out the window is the first surreal moment, I would say.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that too surreal. Compared to, like, last week with the fairground and stuff.
In the context of this episode, up until that, you could have easily put that episode on radio and had no difference to the plot.
There was very little physical comedy or anything. You didn't
Yeah,
really see anything.
exactly. Yeah.
He said Father Stone took the life out of the room, and he's taking the life out of
The
that
episode. I think that's what I was going to say. Do you reckon they did that on purpose, just to really drive the point home?
It's funny you should say that you didn't enjoy it that much. It's actually one of my least favourite episodes. There's so many great lines in Father Ted, and that one I don't think
There wasn't a standout one.
you had quotable lines.
Yeah.
I feel like in that one there's a lot of things, they rely on a lot of background humour and stuff, and just little things happening. Like the very start, Ted and Dougal are sitting doing a jigsaw puzzle, and if you're not watching it, you won't see Dougal like unable to fit a piece in and then just cutting it off with the scissors to fit it. It's just little things like that. It seems to be a lot of physical stuff happening in it.
Well, so the first shot is just Dougal forcing a jigsaw piece into a place where it clearly doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And as you said, as the conversation wears on, he eventually just gives up and just sort of cuts it to shit.
And he's clearly been doing it for a while because he's got the scissors at the ready.
So I don't know how any jigsaws ever get made in Craggy Island.
I'd like to see the finished staple.
Elvis. So the first thing that happened was Dougal asked Ted if he had 3 wishes, what would he do? Ted gave the stock answers that you'd expect from a priest: world peace, end of hunger. There's a little element of his dreams of fame coming back with his partying.
Bit of you get a glimpse into what he's really thinking, a bit of his ego and stuff as well, because he's dancing specifically with women. He fancies himself a bit of a ladies' man.
Well, he couldn't really fancy himself as a ladies' man, or else he wouldn't have taken up the priesthood, in the strictest sense.
But that's the key point of Father Ted himself. It's because he has these human desires.
Yeah.
To have the fame that we saw in the first episode, to be on the television, to get the money. The money was resting in my account. I forget the name of the episode where the woman, the author, comes.
Yes.
He has the lust for her, and that's at his core. Although he tries to hide it by saying he wants to give money to charity and give money to the hospitals, etc., etc.
He's keeping up appearances, yeah.
Like we said last week, they're 3 very flawed characters who are in a respectable role.
Ted asked Dougal what his 3 wishes are, and he had great difficulty coming up with any. But what he finally came up with, after extensive prompting by Ted, was a big car to drive around in. To be a big famous rock star like Elvis. And that's the first instance of Elvis coming up, and he will come up very prominently in a later episode. And also he would like to get a China cup that Ted has sitting right beside him.
Yeah. Which he has easy access to.
Katri, you're an artist, okay? So I want you to come up with an artist impression of what it would look like Dougal to be in an Elvis in a big red sports car with that cup. Oh, by the way, I do want to say we are doing this, as you've probably gathered already, we're doing this in a very different format than we've done before. Last week it was much more preordained what we were doing. I had a sort of a running order and everything, and we tried it that way. This week we decided to watch the episode together and then just react to it immediately on the mic. So it's pretty much as soon as we finish watching the episode, we go on the mic and we talk about it. It's an experimental way, and if you can't experiment in the second episode, you can't experiment. So we're doing it this way, and we'll see how it works. Seems to be going okay so far. What do you reckon?
Feels more natural.
Feels more natural. So give me a bit of the episode then that stuck out at you then.
This is the thing. You said it. He sort of sucked the life out of the episode, so it's very hard to pick out moments because the whole thing is just, it's the one joke done throughout it. How dull and boring he is. But I do like the conversation between Dougal and Ted in bed. Just discussing like when they were trapped in the attic for 5 days because he just showed up even though they told him they were in Rome.
Father Stone is obviously very difficult to be in a room with, and they do everything they can to get out of the room. When they're trying to force small talk, as you often do, Father Shorthall comes up very frequently from both of them, actually. Well, he must be about 100 now.
Suppose so.
I wonder what Father Shorthall gets up to, that is the first thing that comes to mind when they're both trying to fill up space.
Does he ever appear in the show?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, they came up with all sorts of funny names for priests. I mean, the classic one is the Christmas episode where they had an imposter priest. Mrs. Doyle was trying to guess his name, and she just came up rattling out like dozens and dozens of really random names. And I think they have a running joke just to come up with as many priest names as they can. So Father Shorthall, I'm sure there's a Father Longhall as well somewhere. This is the first, we spoke last week about the sets in Father Ted, and this is the first time we saw the bathroom. And yeah,
I love the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love-
70s. It reminds me of my granddad's house.
Yeah, it looks
The
like a real
parochial
place.
house is like my granddad's house.
You've been in houses that look like that, like that
Yeah.
have the same furniture, the same wallpaper, obviously not in the same state of decay, but the patterns and everything, that was just stock garden
Just
back in the day.
saying about decay, because we never touched on this even last week when we were discussing like the introduction of the characters. But Father Jack's little corner, like just seeing the state of his chair and the wallpaper behind him, where clearly it's all ruined from all the smoking and stuff.
Just
And
'cause
there's
he's-
clearly probably been a fire in that corner multiple times.
It's just been in status for so long that it's just, everything's just warped around him. Yeah, it's just brown all over around the side of his head. You could nearly cut out a shape of him from the silhouette.
I love the little touches. So when the camera zooms out, you can see like the yellow stains on his fingers,
Yeah.
the nicotine
Yeah.
stains. It's those little touches I think that make
Things
it really
that-
believable.
You probably wouldn't see normally, but they put it on anyway, just in case you do see.
Yeah, the attention to detail in the house, like they really do go to some lengths. And you did bring it up last week that it was set, and it didn't actually occur to me that if they're real rooms or if they're sound stages, as in, do you know the way they have flat pack sound stages for like theatre and TV, that they can just put up and they have to decorate it every time they want to shoot on it, or if it's actually just a place that they have a room that they film in. But I'd imagine it's a sound stage if they have a
looks
live
like a
audience.
sound stage,
yeah. So they have to do that every time they decorate the place.
Was that the first time the bedroom was in it?
No,
No, the bedroom was in last week as well.
You see Dougal's pillow?
He-Man.
Elvis?
What was it?
Isn't it?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I had He-Man. For some reason, I seen
His
He-Man.
bed sheets are He-Man.
Ah, that's why.
What I find unusual is, so when the camera zooms out, you can see that the parochial house is a pretty big house.
Yeah.
Yet Ted and Dougal share
A bedroom.
a bedroom. Doesn't really make sense. There's only
Yeah.
3 people who live there, and it's a decent sized house.
Well, Mrs. Doyle.
She's
Well-
a housekeeper, she doesn't live there, does she? No.
Jack's in one of the bedrooms.
Well,
Jack's a
Jack's
bedroom.
bedroom.
But that means there's only 2 bedrooms.
Well, Jack's bedroom, their bedroom,
Yeah.
Bathroom.
Mrs. Doyle's bedroom.
But does she live there?
That's it.
No,
I
she
would
doesn't,
say
because
she
she
is.
left the house in last week's episode. She said she was going home.
There's also the spare
Yeah,
bedroom that
she's-
Len was going to stay in.
I was going to bring up the spare bedroom.
The rabbit
Spare
room.
bedroom.
So they do have an extra bedroom.
But they choose to share.
That's the guest room.
But even then, downstairs, you've got the living room, the stairway, and then you've got the kitchen.
Yeah.
So where's the other half of the house?
Exactly.
I'm done with this show.
Yeah.
You can see there's an extension on the back of the house.
Yeah, but that looks like the kitchen.
Yeah.
It looks like something leading out into there.
Don't think we see the kitchen for right while till possibly Pat Mustard.
Milkman?
Pat
Yeah.
Mustard, the milkman, yeah.
But so we'll come to that then. But yeah, the house is
The hairy
huge.
babies.
Yeah. Well, the house is huge, and we've mentioned before there was a scene where Ted actually went through a window, and you said the house is actually a real house
Yeah.
in Clare. How did they set up that window? Did they have to take the frame out and then
They
put
must have
sugar
done.
glass in to actually push him through it?
They must have done.
Yeah.
There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So they had to replace the frame and everything of the window, put Ted through it, and then put it back in again.
I wonder what he landed on, because that's, you know, he must have been a 50-year-old man.
But it probably wasn't him who went out it.
But he got up and he spoke.
What I would like to ask is,
Aye, but they can
in
just edit that in
1996,
afterwards.
Where
That's
did an
tough.
Irish priest get an American footballer's like gear?
On Craggy Island.
Okay, yes.
Probably fell off one of the container ships that sort of washed up on the beach.
So he fished out.
It's probably
Yeah.
you
Where
see
did
at the
that
start
guy
of
get the I Shot JR t-shirt?
Do you know what though? That was massive.
Shot
over here.
JR.
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah, it was massive over here as well.
But even the American football outfit was, that's what I go back to, the surreal aspect of it. That's just kind of second nature. That's normal. And he puts this on, and he has to, because he has to give bad
Deep-
news to
deep-
Father Jack, and that in itself is where the humour is derived.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he
he
probably realised he needed some protective gear. So he went next time he went to the mainland. He just went into the sports shop and just
But
picked
even,
up.
even in 1996, on
Yeah.
the mainland, would you have found American footballers' gear?
I don't know.
No, probably not.
I
Actually,
don't think so.
no.
We'll never know.
Like this is like Leanne's big problem of the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Where
completely
did he get
unwatchable now.
NFL gear coming from?
You should have put him in like, you know, a already held it and had a hurley or something.
But they needed to
Not no
push
body
his fall.
protection.
Yeah.
Or a giant sumo suit. There's
Or
no
could just
technology
put
everywhere.
cushions They're blatantly lying to Father Stone,
Yeah.
and he's just completely oblivious to it. Or he's just choosing to ignore it. It's hard to tell
Or he's
which,
choosing to ignore it.
but they're just
He's
very
just
obviously
like-
lying. Like they're backtracking over every lie they tell him just because he's got an answer to it, and then he's just not even like acknowledging it.
But it's not even an answer. He just goes, "Oh, it's fine."
He's not even that bad of a person to be around.
No, he's one of the people.
Yeah.
He's completely
You
harmless.
can just ignore him.
That's the thing.
It's easy
And
to
have
ignore
your
a
own
silent person.
conversation.
Again, I go to Teresa's house and I sit down, and her dad's sitting there
Yeah.
watching the TV, and I'm just like, do I say something? Do I go do something myself? Do I? Okay, I'll say something. You ask him a question, he's just like, yeah.
That's a very obscure sci-fi film that he's bringing up there.
The Fly.
The
Fly is
yeah.
not
The
even.
Fly was massive.
Yeah, it was massive.
Is it massive if you shot it
Yeah.
to any...
The Simpsons parodied it.
Yeah,
But have
it's
you seen
well
it?
known. Yeah, I've seen it and I was terrified when I watched it.
When have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
I was
Have you seen it?
I was a child.
Have you seen it, Colin?
And Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen it, but I'm aware of it because of its cultural reference.
Leanne was watching Absolutely Fabulous earlier, and they referenced it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe I'm being unfair on The Fly. We should all sit down and have a fly night.
Like, yeah, we should do that. We should all watch The Fly and then talk about it. It's not a bad call.
Well, I thought it was obscure. I thought that was only a sort of film nerd sort of film.
No.
That only film nerds would be au fait. Like if I went down the street and asked 10 people if they'd ever heard of this film where a guy got his head
Oh,
swapped with a fly.
that'd be weird.
Well, he doesn't get his head swapped with the fly.
Let's do it.
It's not what happens. The head doesn't necessarily get swapped, from what I remember. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you would get fuck off from most people.
If you were to do what?
If he was to go down to random people in this section of Belfast and be like, have you ever seen The Fly?
You're better off doing that in the city
They
centre.
might think you're talking about the bar.
It's like, yeah, they do cheap cocktails.
Other bars are available. Everyone knows The Fly. Have you ever heard of The Fly?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's unanimous then.
okay, so I just
Apart from the actor.
underestimated the cultural
It's pretty
significance.
old though, isn't it?
It's the mid-80s, isn't it?
80s, yeah.
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 Arthur Mathews was actually in this episode as well. Do you remember where?
No.
I do.
Where was it?
He was at the party. He was the person who said, "Who wants a lift?"
Yeah.
They all ran out of the room.
He must have a massive car. He must give him a minibus.
Clown car.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the second episode in a row we've that Arthur Mathews is featured, and I don't think Graham Linehan's actually been in it yet. So it's 2-0 to Arthur.
He was a bit camera shy though, wasn't he? He was in it much less.
Most of that.
Cartridge.
Yeah, but since then he's been in a lot more. Like I think he's featured in IT Crowd a couple of times. Alan Partridge as well, but Arthur Mathews and Alan Partridge at the same time.
The representatives from RTA. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
And second episode, John and Mary are back, which I didn't expect to see them so soon.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Because as we discussed last week, they only actually show up in 4 episodes. But
Oh, John and Mary? I heard John and Mary are back. I was like, what the
John
fuck?
and Mary are back.
Aye, but I heard it as one word.
I do speak very fast. Yeah, I did notice that when I was editing last week's show. I genuinely thought the speed was up above 100%. I thought it was like
Do you want me to slow
110%.
it?
You might have
Get
to.
it down to about 75%.
It's just because I think so fast. That's what it is. So it turns out that Ted is the runt of his family, which
Yeah.
because, as you mentioned, the favourite son goes to be a doctor, and the least favourite son becomes a priest.
It's usually a third son. The third son gets the farm.
Is that better or worse than the priest?
Better.
Much better.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
probably the best of the 3.
Yeah. Better than
Yeah.
doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farmer?
Yeah, well, they get to make all the
Land.
potatoes.
They get the land, you see. But then there's usually about 12 sons though, and 8 daughters.
That's before television.
Was there other kids that had big families in your group or anything? Or?
Not to the extent that you've mentioned, with double
I think
figures.
It's a generation thing, definitely, yeah. Because in my year group and in the brothers in high school, there was one guy who had like 14 siblings.
14.
Yeah,
14.
and he was my age, and he was like.
From one woman.
So we'll just bring you up to date on the plot. So, but Ted was getting so irate with having to deal with Father Stone that he prayed to God to get rid of him somehow. It seems that God actually takes it a bit too literally. You don't want to make a deal with this God guy. I mean, you're not supposed to make a deal with the devil, but geez, God doesn't seem to have much of an even hand either.
But this is the thing. This is the human aspect. We've all, speaking personally, we've all prayed to God for things that maybe are a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
Usually, for me, it's please can my team score a goal, score an equaliser. But that's where we connect with Father Ted, because we can understand why he's doing it.
I mean, like, even though he's in this sort of respectable role, he's still quite human. He still has feelings towards people that, you know, realistically you'd be thinking a priest shouldn't have. In the case of Father Stone, he just really dislikes him.
He was just looking for, you know, a way out, and in his desperation he turned to the higher power. As I said, God took it a bit too literally and has been struck down by lightning on a golf course. Apparently a golf course is one of the most dangerous places to be during a lightning storm. When you're swinging a golf club, is making the most attractive metal object for a lightning bolt to hit. Well, I'll let the nurse explain. Go on, Catherine, take it away.
It's just the open space, and you're just exposed, I suppose.
Yeah, and you're holding like a metal rod.
Yeah.
Quite literally
That
a metal
too.
rod in your hand.
in your hand.
And you're
exposed
pointing
metal
towards the
rod.
sky.
Your exposed metal rod.
Have you ever had to deal with someone who was struck by lightning before?
I've worked with somebody who was struck by lightning.
Really?
And what happened?
Well, she was really, really unwell for a few months, and then she sort of came out of it. But for the next...
Just like that.
Shush. But the next 6 months, she would have just blacked out. All of a sudden, like she would have been driving her car, and all of a sudden, she would have just blacked out, and just...
Jesus.
Like the machine just stopped working. And then she would have...
Would she go unconscious like?
She would.
robot.
And then she would wake up in about 2 minutes, and she's like, oh, right, oh, that's okay. Like, I don't know what caused it, but yeah, like she would have passed out driving the car and stuff for a few minutes.
Jeez, right? But so Father Stone is struck by lightning and he is made unconscious. How many people actually survive lightning strikes? Is it necessarily fatal?
You're looking at me again like I would know. I have
Well,
no
you're the
idea.
only health professional in the room.
Lightning strikes can produce severe injuries and have a mortality rate of between 10 and 30%.
Oh,
So-
right.
There's the top 10 weirdest
What's number one?
lightning strike related. The entire soccer team who was killed after being struck
Seen
by
that
lightning
footage.
during a match.
Oh my god.
Yeah, one person got struck and about 8 of them fell immediately. Like, it was so crazy. They were all the same team too. It wasn't the
Were
other
they
team.
touching each other then?
No,
at the time?
they were all spread out like as a football team would be.
To the ground.
Well, it hit one of them, and then about 8 of them of the same team and not the other team all just dropped.
Ah.
It was crazy looking. Lightning, the silent killer.
The silent killer.
You know a hell of a lot about lightning.
I do conduct experiments to reanimate dead horses. So I've got the thing in the roof just to make sure I know when they're coming in. Father Stone is laid up in hospital, and his father is obviously very upset by it. So let's hear how his father says when he hears about his son's predicament. Wouldn't it have been better if he'd have been killed? Was what Father Ted was looking for in the first place, so clearly they're in agreement there, are they?
When I was writing down funny lines from that show, from that episode, that was the only one that I wrote down.
There was a line of the show, I think we
I think
can...
that father character was hilarious.
Yeah, and
It was very Irish.
it was,
Yeah.
like, you can imagine people like that, they're just...
They don't even give you a chance to get a word in.
No.
There is people like that, and I've met them in pubs and stuff, and you see them after football matches and everything, and...
That was terrible.
It was awful. That referee, God, he was awful. It was an absolute disgrace, that referee. He may have given one free against the other team, and that was it. He should have been sent to hell itself.
I think that was a classic example of the Irish father, and then the mother and the grandmother was as well. Just kind of perfect characters, especially the grandmother.
The
She's got
grandmother,
the direct line to God.
they don't need the operator anymore. They've got the direct line, as you say. Old women are extremely, extremely holy. Now, whether it's because they're old and they're sort of considering their mortality more, or if it's just been the way they've lived their whole lives or something, you wouldn't dare take your Lord's name in vain in front of your granny, like, or you get a nice skype around the ear for your troubles, like.
I thought the way that it ended with Father Stone smiling, and the way that it started. This is getting quite technical now on this, but normally with sitcoms, it starts off and everything's normal, and then something's introduced which upsets all the characters, and then they have to try and resolve it. Where at the very first second, Ted's sitting with Father Stone.
He's already there, yeah.
And then you really know by the silence that something's not quite right, and there's no introduction to the character. That's the first introduction to the character. But there's no, oh, Father Stone's coming. We have to get this place ready. I can't believe he's coming. I don't know if I should give a spoiler alert in case people have never seen this episode. But
We'll assume everyone's watched it.
He recovers from the lightning bolt, and he ends up coming back to the house, and he's there at the end. There's no resolution.
Yeah.
The problem is still there as it was at the beginning. I thought that was a nice touch.
As it was, never shall be. Where will that end?
When he recovers, I like the really triumphant music that starts playing as he raises up in the bed with the golf club still in his hand. I just thought the music was this really stupid and out of place in the show, but it works in it because the show is just stupid.
Oh, well, we didn't mention last week.
Not stupid, but
The music was odd in Ted's Getaway last week,
Yeah.
remember? This seemed to fit better. It didn't seem to stick out as much. It sort of, do you know what I mean? Last week, that really sort of stuck in my craw, that music. I don't know why. With the Benny Hill type music, but this, it seemed to fit, it fit the scene, which it did last week, but it wasn't as intrusive over what was actually happening on the episode.
Do you know what I just thought of? Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead.
Let's go back to Leanne's point about the American football gear. Father Stone had his pyjamas on, but he was still holding the golf
I was
club.
going to bring that up, yeah. They couldn't remove the golf club, so how did they put the pyjamas on him? If they couldn't pry his arms off the golf club.
I get that they open the shirt and then they put the sleeve through the golf club and just slip it on his arm. And
Yeah,
then
but
put the
His
other
hands
sleeve.
are
his hands were still together.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They were clutched.
Yeah.
So
I remember he was holding it just with his one hand.
No,
but
two
I remember
hands.
it was clutched. Yeah, that's right.
he looked like a trophy.
Unless it was like a stripper's outfit with like Velcro down the sides.
Maybe, yeah. They just sewed it on like Olivia Newton-John in Grease or something.
It's the nurses still under restauranting.
Well, exactly,
Yeah, they do anything.
We didn't see any nurses in this episode, even though we were in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Did you feel
Doctor.
They're
underrepresented?
always in there though.
They are. They're doing the hard work, and the doctors comes in and spills the news.
Exactly.
Just take all the
Yeah.
credit when they.
Just points us in.
Yeah.
leaves. Yeah.
My fucking job then.
Go on. This is your outlet to like
Taking all the
diatribe about the doctors. Go on.
See, the nurses were the ones who do the heavy lifting, like.
Yeah, no, bitch about the doctors. Bitch about the doctors.
Especially this guy. And this guy and this guy.
But the other thing I wanted to bring up is the wee old woman. They could have got somebody better, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah,
The granny, I thought it was just a bit stupid. It was unbelievable.
She didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything, and the whole, you know.
Oh, she did actually say.
I know what you're up to.
I know what you're up to.
But it was too comic-y with that finger
it was
moving.
too forced.
It was
Yeah.
out of place.
Yeah.
Even for that show, it was out
It
of
would have
place.
worked better if she hadn't said anything. If she would have just given the face.
Yeah,
Given
given
the
the dirty look.
like evil eye, like, you know.
And even the face, so even the evil eye that she was supposed to be given, she just turns around as she's leaving the door, and she contorts into about 4 different faces. You don't know which one she's actually supposed to be making. That's so horrifying. Like,
So if they're going to play on that, if they're going to have her as, you know, this kind of threat who's going to spill the beans, it needed to be more tense and it needed to last longer.
yeah,
It was just kind of like, I know what you're doing, and then she's gone.
and that's it. Yeah, it
Pointless.
was only just a setup for a joke that the old women have the direct line to God.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it didn't actually come back.
It almost seems like maybe there was more to the episode and they've cut it out.
Possibly.
Like maybe there was going to be a side story where she was working things out and they decided, oh, it's not going to work.
I think we're missing a key point in that scene,
What's
which
that?
was the painting.
Father Stone's mother came over and told how much Father Stone loves Ted, and he genuinely did seem to love Ted. When he wasn't in Craggy Islands, he had a calendar that he had X'd out every month.
Nowadays.
Yeah, well, it was a year-long calendar, and he just crossed out each month as he went past. And then he had a nice little diagram of Ted that was wonderfully highlighted in a perfect circle with little magic markers and everything. And then he had also made a painting for Ted. Now, somebody's with a bit more of an artistic bent. Is that a parody of another painting or something? It does look very familiar, the way that the shape, like Ted is behind him with his right arm over his shoulder and his left arm sort of behind his neck.
It's
And then Father Stone's got his hand on Ted's hand. I'm pretty sure I've seen that image somewhere, and you mentioned you've seen it all around Dublin or something.
I found a picture of the one that's in Dublin,
See, that's much more detailed than the one that was in the episode.
but that was part of the gay marriage vote, I think.
Ah, right.
So, does that mean that there were like homosexual undertones to that painting?
no, I don't think so.
I hadn't picked up on
Do you
them.
think you fancied Ted?
A gay priest? I don't think so.
No, I think
No such thing.
That is crazy.
I don't think so. No, it's probably just more of an admiration that somebody actually paid attention to him in his head, like that.
In his world.
Did he pay attention to him?
Well, he did. He genuinely tried to have a conversation with him.
He's the only person who hasn't, like, you know, just obviously ran away as the previous priest had done.
Out of the building.
Yeah.
Ted would, you know, try and force a conversation into him, and he would just respond, "Yeah, it's all right, yeah." And as far as he's concerned, wow, we're really bonding here.
Yeah.
But Ted's like, God, did you just say something?
Even
More eagle live ears might notice that painting actually ends up on the mantelpiece in later episodes, so you can keep a lookout for that.
Okay. So we'll have a spot for the first of that. I'll be expecting you to keep your eyes open, Vince.
Oh, I don't know though. I mean, is it about the friendship? Because they say that the year before, when Father Stone arrived, they said they were in Rome and they were upstairs hiding in the attic, and he still stayed there. So is it about the friendship? Like, what is he doing there when the house is empty? There's no one there.
He obviously had no idea that they were in the attic, so he's probably just lingering around in the hopes that they'll come home.
But they're in Rome. Well, to his knowledge, they're in Rome.
Yeah, as far as he knows.
So what is he doing? So if
Probably
you were
hoping.
supposed to come stay with us, and you arrived and we're like, oh, we're in Rome, would you hang around the house?
No, I'd go home. Any normal person would go home, but Father Stone's not any normal person.
Yeah, but you're not stuck on an island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There might only be one ferry a week for all we know.
Yeah, exactly.
He might not have any way out of the house.
He might have to just linger about for that week.
But they seemed kind of exasperated that he did stay there. They were like, oh, 5 days in the attic.
It was probably
It made
because
it
I don't.
sound like he could have left, but he didn't.
He
I
just
don't
didn't bother.
imagine there's a hotel or anything you can go to.
There must be some sort of
There
guest
must be
house.
something, like there must be an inn or something. Like,
Yeah, D&D or something, yeah. But overall, what's everyone's thoughts then?
I actually liked it.
Did
I
you?
like that episode because as I can relate to it at the minute, so that's probably why.
Better or worse than the first one?
Worse than the first one.
Yeah, I'd hesitate to say this is probably one of my worst episodes of Father Ted.
Yeah. I don't think it's that great.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this one actually, and I was really disappointed when we actually put it on because, like I said, there was hardly any laughs, and I wasn't sure if Katri had seen Father Ted before, and I was thinking, God, this is the first time she's seen this. She must think this is terrible.
No, Colin's got Father Ted on all the time. You love it, like, so I'm sort of forced.
You're forced to watch it.
I do like it. Yeah, I thought it was okay. It wasn't one of the funniest ones.
No, it
that
wasn't,
I've seen,
yeah.
like, definitely not.
But everyone remembers that character though, so the character's stuck in people's heads.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes maybe it's exaggerated in memory.
My favourite bit is the bathroom scene where you think he's going to go for a pee and he's not.
He unzips and then he turns around and drops try.
Toilet humour.
I love Ted's attempt to cover his modesty with a face cloth.
Did anyone else notice that Ted's got had a bit of a funny patch of hair on his stomach?
It's Downy Fluff.
Daddy.
Yeah. So apart from the Downy Fluff, there was one patch that was just a bit heavier or something. It was weird.
Every man has that too.
On his right hand side, so as he's lying in the bathroom, you just see it there. There's
On his stomach?
Yeah, there's a little patch there.
There's like a little rogue growth,
Yeah.
little rogue forest out
It's like
there.
a little patch of Velcro.
Yeah. Would we all of that though?
I noticed that the painting was on the mantelpiece. I hadn't noticed the little patch of hair.
We weren't paying as much attention to Dermot Morgan's body.
As I was.
Yeah. But I think we can wrap that up there and just say that, of all the Father Ted episodes, I don't think it was one of the classics.
As I said at the start, it's my least favorite, one of my least favourite, and I still have changed that opinion watching it again now.
Exactly, and you already watched it this week as well.
I skimmed through it. I do like that last scene where it's kind of mad in the hospital room.
Yeah.
And different characters are coming in and out and it's very quick. But I think Father Stone himself dragged the energy out of it.
Even in the waiting room at the hospital, it was, like, the dialogue was very, very forced about the fly and about the John and Mary coming in. It did seem like they were trying to stretch out as much as they could because it didn't actually have that much
Content.
Yeah. So it'll probably knock it down as one of the top 5 episodes. There are only 2 episodes in.
So we don't know, what order it was written in, what order it was filmed in. Do they, film it all and decide, okay, this is going to be number 2, this is going to be number 3?
Yeah, because you did say last week
We mentioned
the
last week.
first episode wasn't actually meant to be the first episode.
No, the first episode initially, I think, was supposed to be the Passion of St. Tibulus, where they are outside the cinema. But
Is that series 1?
Yeah, it's the very next episode.
Oh, there you go then. Yeah. So, but I mean, we mentioned that going with the episode they went with was a better decision because it introduced the situation better. This is a very odd choice for a second episode. If you've got people to come back to it
After seeing
the first episode, people come back next Friday night to see what's going on. Like, it is a bit of a struggle to get through, especially if you do have a remote in your hand.
Very easy just to flick channels.
Just flick past.
You know what, though?
There wasn't as many channels.
There was only 4 channels.
I think that if it's the weaker episode, it's probably the best place to put it because you want to start strong and you want to end strong. Okay.
True.
So if someone watches a really good first episode, they're like, yeah, I really like this. Then they see a second one, like, oh, it's mediocre. I'll give it one more shot and go into the third episode.
But you would want to probably build a bit more momentum, like maybe put it at the 4th episode. I would have put it if it were me. That way, put some better episodes to start and 2 really good ones at the end. That 4th one midway through, people are already interested, they're enjoying it, and they can maybe forgive it for that.
You want to end on a good note, though.
Yeah.
Where's them ratings coming from?
TV, I think.
This is actually rated 7.9 out of 10. The first episode was rated 7.7. I would definitely reverse those.
Even the Passionist and Tibulus, the third one, 7.8, which I think that was probably the strongest.
Yeah, that's one of the most memorable
It
ones.
is the quotable lines down to this sort of thing. Careful now, and
Yeah, the one that's actually gone down in history, and that was the one that probably set Father Ted off as the greatest sitcom of the year. Like,
interesting point on the Passionist and Tibulus. This is me back to the fanboy again. That was meant to be the first episode, as you've mentioned, and I believe a priest from South America, I forget his name, who gave them gifts.
Yeah.
He gave them a video recorder, which you can actually see in Entertaining Father Stone. It's on top of the television.
Ah, okay.
Continuity error.
Yeah.
Get on that. Done my research.
Bam. Because I do remember him giving the VCR, and it does show up in later episodes. But we'll come back to them.
You can stop that podcast now. It's not going to get any better than that.
No. So, well, thanks very much for listening. We've tried a new format. We'll see how it goes, and we'll be back for the 3rd episode next Sunday. We'll have a different guest. Probably have some of the same guests again. And we'll
I
see
live here, so I'll be here.
Well, Leanne will be contributing as well. And
Stuck with me.
yeah, so thanks very much for listening, and bless you.